guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is why do Americans go crazy for college sports?
Very, very good question.
It is a good question because they definitely do.
And I absolutely love it, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good crazy.
Yeah, very brief, what we always say when we kind of cover this topic or react to college sports. In Britain, you don't get anything like that. Like a normal game, like let's say a soccer game, which is obviously the most popular sport over here, you probably get parents, maybe a few mates if it's a big game, and then if it's like a final, you're not going to get many. Maybe if a final, you might get a few extra people, but you're not getting over 100 people.
Yeah, I feel like the people that go to like the college sports games in America, like could probably be more than who go to like your hometown games, like the actual people. Like Rotherham games.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. It's absolutely mad. I absolutely love it, but it's absolutely mad and awesome. So let's find out why. Are you ready?
I guess.
Let's go. What we got?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Lost in the Pond with me, Lawrence Brown. It's that time of year again. We have just had March Madness, or what is known here in the United States as March Madness. That is when everything goes mad in March for basketball, specifically college basketball. Now, in 2010, not long after I'd moved to the United States, really, I got caught up in this whole March Madness because the Butler Bulldogs of Indiana made it to the final, the championship final of that very year. Now, they lost ultimately, but my wife and sister-in-law were supporting them very fervently. Why? Because they were alumni of Butler University in Indianapolis. Okay. And, you know, still new to the country, I didn't really understand what was going on. I kind of just understood that, they're just getting behind their university team. But then I thought, well, why is their university team on television? This is quite extraordinary. I've never really seen anything like this. And then you come to find that the whole of Indianapolis is kind of behind the Butler Bulldogs, not just in 2010, when unfortunately they lost, but also in 2011, when they also lost. And it seemed like the whole city was galvanized by the Butler Bulldogs run to the final. Now, like I said, in England, you wouldn't really see anything like that. I couldn't imagine, for example, my university of Lancaster University getting to some kind of final and then having that final watched by millions on television. It's just not something that happens. The only real thing I can think of in terms of university sports being televised is the rowing between Oxford and Cambridge.
Yeah, true.
I guess so. That is probably the only thing.
It, though, I think.
Yeah, I can't think of anything
And it's
else.
like the best universities in the UK, Oxford and Cambridge, are like the top universities.
Yeah, why do we do that and not do it with any other sport? I never really thought about that.
I don't know.
Why? There must be heritage. I don't watch the boat race.
There must be something in the old history that
some
is
heritage,
big with this or something.
It is just a tradition.
It's so random. It's literally like between the two best unis, and it's just them rowing.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you know.
Like rowing's not a big sport, I don't think.
In the UK. So today, I just want to get to the bottom of why it is the United States is so in love with college sports.
I'm ready.
So granted, while, pro sports like the NFL do dominate the television ratings here year-round, collegiate sports are still wildly popular. The aforementioned college basketball championship finals can pull in anywhere from 15 to 35 million viewers. 35 million is quite extreme. Wow. That was back in the late 1970s when Larry Bird went up against Magic Johnson's team. But nonetheless, 15 million people cheering in at the very least. I mean, that is what EastEnders was getting in its heyday. Now, granted, there are more people in the United States, but 15 million people is not something to scoff at. And that's just the basketball. I mention that right now because in real life we are closing in on the championship game in 2019, but actually college football does even better. I mean, you'll see things like
college football's mad.
Garnered that kind of viewing figures here in the United States. And if they were just watching on television, that would be one thing, right? But they're also packing huge stadiums, right? So think of Wembley Stadium. It's the largest stadium in the entire United Kingdom. A large capacity, I think, of about 90,000 people can fit into Wembley Stadium. So if you're not from the United States, it might blow your mind, as it did mine, that there are 8 colleges in this very country that have a capacity of more than 100,000. I've actually been to one of them.
Yeah, which is, again, mad. Like, Wembley Stadium's used for the biggest games, and when that sells out, you think, oh my god, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
College games are like weekly, like, I can sell that out.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely mental.
In Ann Arbor, Michigan, absolutely huge. When I went there, we experienced the largest outdoor attendance for a soccer game in US history at that time. But they pack these houses. They actually exceed 100,000 attendees on average at a lot of these games. So in 2010, not only Michigan, which averaged about 111,000 attendees, but Ohio State and Penn State all exceeded an average gate of 100,000 throughout their college football season. Now, admittedly, you're never going to see those kind of attendances on a basketball court, but while we're on the subject of basketball, that brings me on to something that a lot of people in the United States take part in at this very time of year, and that is a basketball bracket. Even I got involved this year. Basically, what you do is, once you know all the seedings
I've done this
all
before.
the first games in this
Have
NCAA...
So when I was doing my channel on my own, like sport, a long time ago, I did one of these.
Oh.
I think I say it up, I never really followed it, but I did follow March Madness a little bit. Again, it still amazes me how big it actually is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Basketball tournament, you then go on to some provider, in my case it was CBS Sports. You choose which teams you think are going to win in each round, getting all the way to the Final Four and then the championship game and calling that winner. And if you're in a pool with a load of other people and you happen to get more points based on the scoring system, then you win. You win your entire bracket and it's amazing and you get this prize. So I was so excited by this notion that I went to the great liberty of firstly learning the seedings of each team to try to work out which ones were good, and also just look at the form book, the history guides and all that. I delved so deep. I did all of this investigative research and ultimately I failed badly. I got none of my teams to the Final Four. But if you took part in such a bracket and you have any teams remaining in the tournament, let me know in the comments below and I'll give you a thumbs up or something of that ilk. All that to reiterate that college
It is hard to do.
sports
There's a lot of
comparatively
upsets.
to the rest of the world, huge in the United States. That leaves us with one big question. Yes, why? Why are college sports so big in the United States? Well, you have to go back in time a little bit to the 19th century. That's a century that I often like to return to. Not literally, I don't have a time machine. I'm running out of breath. But in about the 1850s, the first sort of collegiate sport event occurred in the United States when Yale and Harvard engaged in, you guessed it, a rowing competition.
Oh,
You see,
wow.
it's full circle. So
Yeah.
in the 19th century, you have all of these sort of college sports emerging, one of which is, in fact, American football. But over time, questions start to emerge about the safety of some of these sports, so they need some kind of rule-making body, right? So that's where the NCAA comes in. So after years of evolving its name, it arrives at the name that we know today as the NCAA in about 1910, and about a decade later, after just sort of passing a load of rules relating to these college sports, the first ever NCAA championship takes place. This is in track and field, and then in the late 30s, about 1939, the very first NCAA basketball championship, like we know today, took place for the first time. So right off the bat, pun intended, baseball reference, college sports are already more traditional than their sort of pro equivalent for the most part. And so just in that respect alone, they've maintained their position in American culture. But given the sort of financial powerhouse status of a lot of these pro organizations like the NFL, is tradition really enough to keep these college sports in the public eye? Well, probably not by itself. The truth is the colleges themselves make quite a lot of money from their sporting endeavors.
That's
And
a
the real
lot of
big
money.
thing as well that
That's
sets
nice.
your US
Archie has joined us. You have a
Yes.
big shadow on your face. But
He's paused.
Oh, Archie's paused as well. Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
US colleges, apart from British colleges, is that US colleges attract some of the top athletes in the nation, some of the top young athletes in the nation, with the promise of an education. You know, sports here is quite tied to college education, whereas in Britain it really isn't. I mean, if you think about some of the top football stars, Wayne Rooney, David Beckham, etc., etc., you know, they were signing up to their respective football clubs, perhaps at the age of 7, playing for the sort of teenage equivalent of Manchester United or whoever it might have been, and then they'll make their first team debut while they're a teenager. But in that time, they'll have finished school at 16, and that's where their education ends. There is no college.
Yeah, they're tough. They're like in the UK, your sport has nothing to do with your college. Like you said,
Yeah.
you can move school because of it, but the school don't care. They just want you to get your grades, do your stuff. It don't make a difference.
Yeah, no.
And like, I feel like in American on movies, sometimes you get punished for not getting the grades as well, don't you?
Yeah,
in
I
movies,
think so.
at least.
Because they always say like, they always say like, the football people, they're gonna look at the scholarships and stuff. Don't
Yeah,
they?
and you've got to hit grades as well. I think maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, because I
Let us
think
know in
like
the comments.
sometimes they like punish them by not letting them go to practice. Don't
Yeah, whereas we don't do scholarships. But maybe that's just movies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let us know,
they?
please.
For sure.
For them, Here, it's very much tied to a sort of college education. Kids will be given a sports scholarship, for example, to attend that university. And then, depending on their name recognition as it grows and grows and grows, that can be good for the college. It helps to create recognition not only for that player, but for the college, and then, funding and things like that becomes more paramount. On top of that, and I don't have statistics for this, but it's just some more anecdotal and observational on my part, is that I think people here that attended a university then went on to become an alumni of that university are generally more proud of that fact than people in England would be of attending a university. I, for example, don't have any sort of memorabilia from my own university that I utilize in my daily life as an adult. No sweaters, jumpers, or anything of that ilk. Whereas you see it quite commonly here in the United States, and so even years, sometimes decades after graduating, alumni from those colleges will still don that jumper, that sweater, and support the team when it's going far in whatever competition it is we're talking about. You're just not going to see that in the UK. So alumni here are fans for life. On that very note, while I was researching for this video, I found this great quote by John Mackay, who is a football coach formerly of USC, which is the University of Southern California, and he was asked how USC had retained such strong support in Southern California despite the existence of Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams, a pro football team, and he said nobody graduated from the University of the Rams. And it's very interesting you should say that, and it's very interesting
personal connection
on the topic of the Rams, because you want to talk about pro football teams. This is a team that started in Cleveland, Ohio, moved to Los Angeles, moved to St. Louis, and then moved to Los Angeles. On the other side of the coin, your college team is not going to move cities. It's going to stay there, right there, where you want it. And for a lot of cities, indeed a lot of states, that's very important because they don't always have a pro equivalent within driving distance. Take the states, for example, of Kansas, Kentucky, Virginia. They don't have, for example, basketball teams that play in the NBA. They just don't exist in those entire states. But each of those states do boast decent to very good college basketball teams. And I think that that's very important for people that live in those states. They develop a sense of community around that college and around what that college has to offer from a sports point of view. And so they don't have to drive to these sort of major cities to take in the big teams, the big pro teams, and offer that support. And they know their team will never move cities because it's college based. It's not a franchise.
Exactly.
That's good.
To wherever it wants. So there's that sense of loyalty that remains. And so a final point that I want to make today, and a lot of people have said this.
You're right, lad. I suppose you want to come up, but it's the opposite in the UK, because in the UK, normally your soccer team is the place where you live, and it very, very rarely, I can only think of one occasion where it actually has made a difference. Oh, you're all the lollipops. That's okay.
It's closing up.
I think that's the end of the video. There's a minute left. If we need to check, we'll check this minute out in our own time. Hopefully you have enjoyed the video, guys.
You say bye.
Smash I, but you can say bye.
Say bye. Say bye, everyone. Ready? Archie's going to check it out in his own time.
Yeah, he's going to check it out. He has literally just woke up, by the way. That's why he's a little bit out of it.
Yeah.
Smash that, guys. Smash the subscribe and watch the video.
Have a fantastic day.
And we'll see you legends in the next one. Peace.